Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really critical security alert about a Windows vulnerability. So, why is this one so important? Well, because attackers are already using it to turn a simple everyday user account into the all-powerful administrator of your entire system. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's start with this quote because really, it cuts right to the chase. Active exploitation means this isn't some theoretical what-if scenario. This is happening right now. CISA and Microsoft are confirming that real attackers are out in the wild using this flaw to break into systems as we speak.
And this timeline just puts the urgency into perspective. Look at how fast this is moving. CISA sounds the alarm on December 9th, Microsoft has a patch ready the very next day, and then CISA gives federal agencies this hard deadline of December 30th to fix it. That's a huge signal to everyone else. The clock is ticking, and you need to act now.
So what exactly is this threat that lets an attacker just waltz in and take over? Let's break down the vulnerability at the heart of this whole thing, which is being tracked as CVE 2025-62221. Now here's the real kicker. The reason this is so widespread is that the flaw isn't in some obscure piece of software you might have installed. Nope, it's in the Windows Cloud Files Mini Filter driver. That's a core system file that helps manage things like your OneDrive files. It's built right into modern Windows systems. We're talking Windows 10, 11, and even Windows Server. That means the attack surface here is just massive. So how does a simple system file become this wide-open door for attackers? Well, let's unpack the mechanics here. It all comes down to a really classic but incredibly dangerous type of computer memory bug. The vulnerability is what's caused a use-after-free flaw. Now, the easiest way to think about it is like this. Imagine a hotel system checks a guest out and marks their room as empty. But a forgotten keycard, a pointer in computer terms, is still active. An attacker with that keycard can now sneak into the supposedly empty room and leave their own malicious luggage, their code, behind. It's a fundamental memory mistake that can lead to a complete system takeover. And when you look at the details here, you can see why it's so potent. The attack vector is local, which means the attacker has to have a foot in the door first. But, and this is the scary part, look at the privileges required. Low. Any standard user account will do. And user interaction? None. Your user doesn't have to click a bad link or open a weird file. This combination is basically the perfect recipe for an attacker to escalate their attack. So you might be thinking, okay, if the attacker already has to be on the system, what's the big deal? Well, this is exactly where a small, contained problem turns into an absolute catastrophe. This vulnerability is the first domino that knocks all the others over. See, this flaw is basically the key that unlocks the entire kingdom. An attacker might start out as just a regular user with very limited access. But once they exploit this vulnerability, they can elevate their privileges all the way up to system, which is the highest level of control you can get on a Windows machine. They go from being a guest in the house to holding the master keys to everything. And once they have system privileges, well, it's pretty much game over. They can shut down your security software, effectively making themselves invisible. They can steal credentials, jump to other computers on your network, and of course, deploy ransomware. So this isn't just about compromising one computer. It's about taking down your entire organization. And this really puts the financial risk into perspective. According to IBM's research, the average cost of a single data breach is around $4.5 million. Now, a little flaw like this one isn't the direct cause of that whole cost, but it's often the critical first step. It's the gateway exploit that lets the bad guys get in, turn off the alarms, and get to the sensitive data that leads to those massive multi-million-dollar problems. Okay, let's get into the weeds a bit. How does an attacker actually pull this off? It's a pretty methodical process that takes advantage of that use-after-free flaw we were just talking about. It's really a four-step chain. First, they get that initial foothold, maybe through a phishing email. Next, they send a specially crafted command to that driver to trigger the memory bug. Then they jump in and seize control of that unstable memory space. And finally, they use that control to rewrite the rules of the system, giving themselves the ultimate prize, system privileges. It's a precise and devastating sequence. All right, we've gone through the threat, the impact, and how the attack works. So now let's get to the most important part, what you need to be doing about this, like right now. Honestly, if you take away only one thing from this, let it be this. The single most important, most effective action you can take is to deploy the security update that Microsoft released. You have to patch. It closes the door on this vulnerability completely, period.
But patching is just one layer, right? A truly strong defense needs more. This playbook really lays out the other essentials. You need to be monitoring your endpoints for any weird behavior, especially around that driver. You have to enforce the principle of least privilege. So even if a user gets compromised, the damage is limited. And you should be using network segmentation to stop an attacker from moving around freely if they do get in. Altogether, these steps create a really powerful multi-layered defense.
And we'll end on this question. This time, the 0-day was caught and a patch was created. In a way, that's a win for the good guys. But it's also a pretty sobering reminder. For every threat we know about and can fix, how many more are out there that we don't know about? It just reinforces that proactive security, constant vigilance, and having a plan to respond quickly aren't just buzzwords. They're absolutely essential for survival.